We will now hear from some very talented individuals. The first person being Charlotte's son, Andrew, who has 129,000 followers on TikTok. The next person will be her brother, Silverstone, who is a star within the Afrobeats community. We will also be hearing from Jojo Emmanuel Lawson, who will share with us his story and treat us to one of his songs titled In the Midst. Sit back and enjoy.
That's a really good question, because there isn't really a formula as to how I did it, but there are a few things that help. So the content I create is very educational at times. I focus a lot on issues within and issues that face the Black community, and I suppose because of the Black Lives Matter movement that kicked off around May, June time of last year, there was a lot of interest in the type of content I was already creating, and that spurred me on to produce more. So that was definitely something that helped to build a following in the first place. But there are other things that helped. I used to post about 3 times a day, which helped keep people engaged in what I was saying. And also, I think TikTok itself is a very good app for building a following and sharing information, because the videos are a minute or shorter. They're not very long, which means the content is very quick to consume, which a lot of people, especially young people, really enjoy. So that was something that definitely helped me get to where I am at the moment. Okay, so racism and racial bias, unfortunately, are not issues that are going to go away tomorrow. And so in terms of dealing with it in society in general, something that I found very helpful as a young Black person was having a very close group of Black friends that I know go through the same things I go through. And that helped me because I knew that I wasn't going through these things alone. So I think having a close support network of friends that deal with the same issues you deal with as a young Black person is very helpful in terms of dealing with the racism that we face in society. But in terms of an isolated incident, I think the most important and the most helpful skill that any of us can have is to be educated. I think as Black people, being educated on how to call someone out when they're being racist, being educated on ensuring that we have the knowledge to correct people when they mistreat us, and we know how to deal with the overt and covert scenarios of racism is also very, very important. Interestingly enough, I don't think a lot has actually changed. I think some of the things that we have seen over the past year are largely performative, a bit superficial. There's no real systemic change that we've experienced, especially in the UK. And I think that whilst that is disappointing, that doesn't mean that there isn't greater change to come. I think one thing that we can expect from the whole Black Lives Matter movement and everything that happened last year is a more long-term change. I think one thing that it really did was wake a lot of people up. There are lots of people, especially Black people, who kind of just got used to dealing with racism as a part of everyday life. And I think what the movement did, which I'm very, very pleased about, is it woke people up and people began to say enough is enough. And I think over time that will have a greater impact. In the future, children will be raised, I think, with the mentality of we need to be anti-racist, not just we need to not be racist. And that will have its impact in the future. But for now, I struggle to see what actual change has happened, because some of the people that were racist last year are still racist now. I really do do hope that the situation in the corporate world improves. I mean, having read my mom's book of poems and been there as she wrote the poems, I was shocked to some degree that things like this happen in the corporate world even today, and I really hope that they do change. I fear though that, like I was saying earlier, a lot of the changes we've seen recently are merely superficial, and things won't actually improve. That said, I'm confident that if the situation doesn't get better, I'm somebody that is resilient in these times. I've dealt with racism before. It was not as if that would be a shock to me, but I really do hope that for the benefit of everybody in the corporate environment, that the situation does get better.
You're listening to Freetown Radio. It's the best radio.
When I like cool, then I look right. Then the way I hustle, no. Them just they look nice. Then they pre my thing, oh. I make it look twice. I tell them all the one girl, she be my size, oh. Yeah. Say if you want a doctor, baby girl, I got the remedy, yeah. And if you want a proper, I make I know we could do the thing, yeah. Say if you want a doctor, baby girl, I got the remedy, yeah. And if you want a proper, just make I know we could do the thing.
Yo, what's good, people? I go by the name of Silverstone. I'm an artist, producer, songwriter, business owner, and yeah, my heritage is Ghanaian and Sierra Leonean. Born in London, Croydon to be exact. And let me tell you a bit about my journey, my musical journey, and what I've been up to, what I do, and what I want to do. So I was born in the UK, in Croydon. Lived here for until I was about 11, and then I went to Sierra Leone, which was a complete culture shock to me as an 11-year-old kid that's only known the UK. And it was amazing because it went from being able to flush the toilet and turn on the light, and the light would come on and water would run and wash your hands or whatever, to sometimes you would flush the toilet, there's no water, so you have to go and fetch water, or there's no light, so you have to use lanterns and solar panel lights and stuff like that. It was really different. However, it was the best teaching for me, because I was like, yo, this is actually different, because in the UK we worry about we ain't got the latest trainers, or I ain't got no food, but your food, there's still food in the fridge, but because you want McDonald's, you get me, it's different. Where over there it's different. It was like the small things you're happy about. I saw more genuine joy, genuine love, genuine care over there than when we get over here in the West, because we're always chasing something different. So it was a whole different culture shock. So when I went to Sierra Leone, I went to school, and while I was in school, I met really good friends like Alice Holloway and loads of other great, Sierra Leoneans who are doing great right today. So one great thing was my headmistress. She would allow me to come out of school, or shall I say out of class, and play the keyboard. And she saw that I had a talent, and she was able to see that I had something in me that I didn't even see. And she told my dad, oh, this boy loves music, you need to make sure that he's doing music. My father didn't understand music being a career path, I should say. So it was like, okay, cool, he can do it, but he has to learn, because he was like an academic and I'm a creative, so it's two different worlds. However, he was a lover of music, used to play records and used to play music all the time. I'd say that my speaker collection is a testament to what I saw he had, like, because he had tons of speakers in the house and sound system and all of that. But it kind of grew. That was still part of my foundation. So when I came back to the UK, I learned quite a lot from being in Sierra Leone. I learned how to just be calm. I learned how to appreciate things. I learned how, you know, if you don't have it, it doesn't mean you're not going to get it, or sometimes you don't actually need it. So coming to the UK, I went to school, and again I became the new boy, you know, because I've come from Sierra Leone, I've come from Africa, you know, I have a bit of an accent, it's all different. So I had to kind of learn how to fit in but not follow, you know, which was a strong thing I had to learn in Sierra Leone. You know, I was the new kid in Sierra Leone. I could learn from them, but I wasn't exactly like that because I was born in England. It was completely different. However, you know, it showed me different ways of life and showed me how to fit into situations and just not be the oddball out, even though you're the odd one out, because yeah, you're new. So fast forward to after school in the UK, I learned that I really had a huge passion for music. So I wanted to do music in school, but my parents wouldn't let me. However, my mum had bought me a computer, and my brother, who was a DJ and still a DJ at the time, he was passionate about music as well. So I used to learn how to make music using Cakewalk with him, and that was like the first or the beginning of me learning how to produce music. We used Cakewalk, we used Fruity Loops as well, and like it was so cool. It was so cool just learning how to do things. And so after making music at home, I would, you know, listen to music on my headphones and, you know, just try like better it, and listening to all the huge artists out there thinking, yeah, I want to produce for so many people. So fast forward now to about when I went to college. That was completely different world for me, because I thought to myself, I actually want to do something to do with music. So I did performing arts, and when I was doing performing arts, that was quite interesting. However, when I was going to class to do music within the performing arts, I realized I knew more than the tutor, because I had been at home producing music and trying different sounds and different things, and they were teaching me stuff. I was thinking, well, I don't really want to learn all of that. I don't really need that. So when I finished college, you know, a lot of my friends was deciding to go to uni, but I was like, you know what, if uni is anything like what college has been, I don't think I really want to go. I'd rather not get myself into debt and just jump straight in, because I realized that at a time, you as a producer or a singer or artist, you know, people want results. They don't want things on paper, you know. So I was like, you know what, I'm not going to go to uni, but you guys go. And I decided to find a part-time job to kind of fund my passion for music. So I was always buying equipment. I was always going to cash converters, looking for second-hand things, because I thought, you know what, I can't afford brand new. You know, I'm just a student, a kid. However, my brother introduced me to a guy who was running a label, and they were looking for another producer. And at the time, they're like, you know what, we like your sound, we like what you're doing, why don't you come in, you know, and show us what you got. And I did, and they wanted, you know, me to be in their camp. So I worked with them, and I was working with them for about, you know, maybe 8-9 years. It was really cool. You know, that was the first time I saw big video shoots, and, you know, went to huge studios. It was an amazing experience, and it allowed me to grow myself as well. So unfortunately, that record label closed down. However, my whole passion for my music had been ignited to its fullest. So I was like, no, this is exactly what I want to do forever. So I decided, you know what, I need to build a studio. And once the the Green Dragon Records, they were called, closed down. I was like, I have to continue making music. So I opened up the studio, White Hut Studios, which is still open and running now. And yeah, it really was a dream come true to be able to create and have a space, you know, and it's actually moved from where it was before as well. When I first created it, it's into a bigger unit where we have 2 studios, have a live room, we have a chill out area, we do videos, we do, you know, everything to do with music, you know, we do it. And then also from that, I built a education company called White Hut Education. So all this time, I wasn't really an artist. I was just a producer, songwriter, DJ. And then I felt in my spirit, I need to start making my own music. So I started writing my own music. And then the first song I released was called Dancer, which came out many years ago. And after that, I was like, right, I need to, you know, myself and my manager were like, yo, you need to have a project out. So I was like, okay. Worked on the first project, which was The Resume, and that was a catalogue of all the songs I'd done for different people, which was really cool. And put that out as a mixtape. It was actual CD, put it out. And then after that, I worked on my debut project, which was called Transitions. And that for me was a huge step, because that was me completely coming out from behind the desk as a producer, you know, artist, a producer, DJ, and becoming a full-blown artist. And that really was the beginning of Silverstone the artist, you know, for me. And after that, I produced Levels, which was on my next EP, and then I did Affirmation, which is out as well. These are all on Spotify streaming sites, and the next one I'm releasing this year is called Evolution. And I feel it's like a real cool time, especially for musicians, because we've all had to evolve. We've all had to, especially because of the lockdown and because how things have been, it's like we've all had to evolve, you know. And I think throughout my journey, I've realized I've had to evolve, just seeing how this world is. Obviously, you know, we've seen so many amazing things that's happened and tragic things that's happened, i.e. the George Floyd killing, and it's really brought to our attention how this whole world is just kind of messed up, especially the West, where, you know, they'll look at somebody that doesn't look like them and see them as less, you know. And it's a real different, it's crazy. You know, I've always seen that prejudice that's shown its head, especially in my journey, you know, being an African artist. I make Afro beats. I should have said that earlier if you didn't know, but I'm an Afrobeat artist. So I would say it's really shown itself, you know, when I started music. Now it's much better because people are embracing African music. They love African music. They love what's happening, you know, and it's an amazing thing. But it still shows in this country and certain parts around the world that, you know, that being African, being Afrobeats, or being just black, you get treated different. But I've learned something. What I've learned is, regardless of who you are, what you're doing, how you want to hold us back, it's going to be impossible. I always told some, you know, back in the day, I used to say African music, as soon as they let us in, it's impossible to close it, because unlike different genres like drum and bass or garage, or, you know, they've stemmed from a country, the UK. Yeah, I understand, like grime from the UK. However, Afrobeats stems from a continent which is the second largest, if not the largest in the world, Africa. And right now we're only hearing music from, you know, Nigeria, Ghana, you know, some little trickles from Sierra Leone, you know, Kenya, but you've got countries that we've not even heard music from. And so that just shows me that there's so much to come from African music, and I'm blessed to be part of this movement, however big or however small it is. But because it's an amazing time right now, and as an African artist, as someone who sees themselves as, you know, visionary, I feel like it's a great time to be doing music, to be creative, to show and tell your story, you know, and that's what I felt I've had to do, you know, apart from being an artist and producer and songwriter. Like I also have, as I said, White Heart and Education, which is an education company for young people, because I always think that, you know, when I was at school, I didn't see anybody that looked like me teach me anything. You know, I had friends, I was, you know, a couple of people that I may have bumped into, but nobody that had something that was like, yo, if you need help, we are here, you know. And I think it's quite important. If a cat, you know, a cat will grow a cat and then a kitten and it will turn into a cat, but if a cat is growing a dog, it's just gonna be weird, because it's like as much as there will be love there and they'll be cool, there will be something missing. And I think it's quite important that we have that, especially in our community and as our people. And just, it's not about segregation, it's about just learning to love yourself. I think it's very important that, you know, as an artist, as a producer, as a songwriter, as a business owner, that I'm able to do that and share that and accomplish that, whether it's through my music, whether it's through different businesses, whether it's through anything that I decide to do. So yeah, that's like a little background on me, and that's a little story from, you know, where I've come from to where I am to where I'm going. So thank you very much, and I hope you guys enjoy this, and please make sure you like, share and subscribe to my channels at Silverstone on SoundCloud, but if you're on Spotify, Apple Music, Twitter, Instagram, Silverstone, SILVASTONE. Thank you very much, and God bless you guys. Peace.
And after that, you will be meeting with Roland John, who is a serial entrepreneur, and he will be talking to us about one of his businesses.
Hi, my name is Roland John, and I am the co-founder of Property Cohort. We are essentially a property business that's been set up to help first-time buyers and investors get onto the property ladder. I wouldn't say I actually planned to be an entrepreneur. What I would say is that I was inspired to be an entrepreneur. I have several family members who are business owners, and when I graduated from university, I personally was on a graduate scheme, but a lot of my friends actually went on to start their own businesses, and that definitely inspired me to start Property Cohort. The plan now for me is to continue to grow Property Cohort. One of our big aims is to actually become developers, so God willing this year, we will be looking to take our first steps into building our first apartments. I am also the co-founder of a company called 10x10, and we are essentially a community that supports black entrepreneurs with starting businesses and with also exiting/selling businesses as well. We've been running for about 5 years. Last year, we were fortunate enough to partner with Google to produce the Black Report, which is the first qualitative report on black founders in the UK. And it's just a real deep dive into our background and the struggles we face as black founders in the United Kingdom. Overall, I'd say I really enjoyed being an entrepreneur. It has been extremely tough at times. I've lost a lot of money. I've made a lot of money. I've made a lot of friends. I've also made a lot of enemies, but yeah, I wouldn't change it for anything. I genuinely do love being an entrepreneur, the freedom that it gives me. Yeah, I love it.
If you're passionate about helping shed light on issues surrounding racism, Black in White is a must-read. Black in White is a powerful new book written by Charlotte Shyllon. It includes poems such as Meet the New Girl, Behind My Mask, The Cleaner, The Security Guard and Me, and If I Were White. It describes some of Charlotte's experiences of racism and unconscious bias while working in the corporate world over 25 years. It includes striking images as well as definitions of terms such as diversity, inclusion, BAME, and white privilege. Available from major online retailers in paperback and Kindle formats, the recommended retail price for Black in White is $9.99, and signed copies can be ordered from www.blackandwhiteservices.co.uk. These These poems can serve as conversation starters to ensure important issues about race are aired. Don't delay. Get Black and White today.
Good evening, everyone. It's a blessing to be here today. My name is Jojo Emmanuel Lawson, and first and foremost, I would like to say God takes all the glory and Christ is exalted. I'm so humbled to be connected to this platform today, and it's a great blessing, it's a great privilege, and literally God takes all the glory. I've known Sister Charlotte for a while now. She's been a wonderful person in my life. She works with me in my ministry for the past couple of years behind the scenes, doing a whole lot of work, and it's such a great blessing. My story, before I share the song that I'm about to share, is quite interesting. And I grew up as a Ghanaian boy from Ghana, and quite interestingly, I have lost all my parents. So when we talk of the word an orphan, looking at me, I am the exact example of an orphan, someone who's lost half of their family. Lost a couple of my sisters, and basically that has been my life. Growing up as a young boy, by the age of 9 and 10, I was reading books from a man from South Korea called Shiv Kara. I've always been a person who've always dreamed to be a Black motivational speaker. From the age of 12, I was leading young people in Africa and doing loads of things to help my community. And then obviously moving into the UK, I've always been passionate. But incredibly, before I moved into the UK in the school that I was in, I did loads of crusades, loads of major things to help young people. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of young people. We're talking in the 1990s. Don't try and work out my age, but in the 1990s, I was doing loads of things in Africa to try and help young people. And when you're talking of a very poor family, I literally came from a very poor family. Before my mom died, I would remember my mom would recite Psalm 91 over and over again, and I would sleep on the floor. You know, if you go to Africa, you see kids, sleeping in very poor areas, and I was at that point. And the interesting thing is, before my mom died, life became so hard. At the age of 18, she took me to the shrine, because she had given up on life. I remember waking me at the age of 18. She said, "Jojo, I regret giving birth to you." But the interesting thing is, there's a scripture in the good book. They call it the good book, but I call it the Bible. The Bible, Proverbs chapter 23, verses number 7. And it says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So I always believed that I will be great. I always believed that I'll make it. And when I heard my mom say that, I turned to my mom and said, "Mom, this boy that you say has brought you shame and gloom, one day this boy will bring you happiness." The story goes on and on and on, and moved into the UK, and in the year 2000, 2001, gathering young people from East London, embarking Stratford, young people from various churches, doing various crusades and helping loads of people. But by the time it got to 2005, 2006 in East London, I decided to step into another aspect of my life, where I joined a massive organization in this country, and I rose up again as a young boy, Black African guy who'd lost everything in life, to that organization. And then I became the first Christian leader in the whole of UK. And in that organization were other Caucasian people. And I was due that leadership role, but due to my skin and other things, I was discriminated and put to a different place. And it was so emotional. I had an article written about me and put on the very front page, and in about 150 years of that organization being running, no black person had appeared in that front paper, and I happened to have been there. As times evolve, I decided to do a lot of things, i.e. start different networks, which I have to say there are quite a few of the people that I've mentored who are on the line today. Some of them have connected today from Belgium and from Africa. They're on the platform today. And I decided to do a lot of things by mentoring people and doing loads of things. But it's quite interesting. I had the word discrimination, but it was very subtle. It was very nicely put. They said you couldn't be the head. But by this time, I had invitation to the Lambeth Palace, make the Archbishop of Canterbury. And it got to a time, the second opportunity that I had, I remember the first opportunity, me and the Archbishop of Canterbury were having a one-to-one conversation right in Lambeth Palace. And he asked me, what's the name Jojo? And I said, if you're from Ghana, Jojo, usually you remember the former Secretary General of the United Nations, Kofi Annan, and in Ghana we name by days. So Monday bones are Jojo or Kojo. So I said to him, if you're Jojo, it means you're Monday born, and it was quite interesting. So we began talking, but in the room, I could see, with all due respect, the Caucasian people sort of looking down on me in a very interesting way. But that went on and went on. And in my personal life, at one point in life, I lost everything in life and I became homeless in the UK. Literally, basically homeless. And I cried and I cried and I cried. And I said to myself that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. But the incredible thing is, throughout this period, I always remember a scripture in the Bible. And it's in the book of John, chapter 9, verse 4. It says, whilst it is day, I must do the work of the one who sent me. For a time is coming when no one can work. So before the pandemic and all that, I took it upon myself to travel on my own accord to various parts of the world. I remember in 2019, before the pandemic hit in, I went to nearly 5 continents, from South America to Asia to basically life was hard, but I took it upon myself. But interestingly, these people were steadying me, were monitoring me. And it will interest you to know that 2020, they had instigated a lot of things to down me and destroy me. But for some reason, God told me to start praying. So as I began to pray, the issue and the court cases and everything came just when the George Floyd case happened. So people that are connected today, you know, when it was the pandemic last year, in 2020, I had major cases where I remember I had to travel on the train, and I was the only person on the train one point going for a major case just for being a Christian and just for being a black guy and doing loads of things. And it was very tearful. But by the grace of God, and like I always say, God takes all the glory and Christ is exalted. God helped me win those cases. And I remember in those times, myself and Sister Charlotte and one of my PA will talk and we'll pray. And by the grace of God, it was a great blessing. So, Sister Charlotte, I want to say to you, you're an amazing woman. You're such a blessing, and I celebrate you. And as I conclude to sing this song, one of the storylines on all the poems in this book is about me. You have to guess which one that is. So it's the first book that I find myself in. And interestingly enough, I'm also writing my own first book, which we're working on, which is coming out next year. But this song I'm about to share to you, it tells this whole thing about being a black person where you have no food to eat, you have no water to drink, your mom died, father dead, and lost everything in life, and life becomes so hard. But then you decide to sing a song. So at the age of 15, the song I'm about to share with you, at the age of 15, my friend and I put this song together, and it's on my album, and it's called In the Midst of It All. God will see you through. So this is a song that Sister Charlotte requested that I sing, and I'm going to share it with you. And I pray that you get blessed by this.
Sometimes it seems like nothing is going your way, and you feel all hope is gone. The heart that you gave out was broken in so many ways that you don't know what is wrong. Time and time again, you hide your hopes and dreams so high that you feel like you were lost and in the dark. When the clouds came and they covered your eyes, and you feel that all hope is gone. Whatever you have in your heart, Jesus will see you through. If only you will make him your own, he will brighten up your way. Whatever you have in your heart, Jesus will see you through. If only you will make him your own, he will brighten up your way. Sometimes it seems like nothing is going your way, and you feel that all hope is gone. The heart that you gave out was broken in so many ways that you don't know what is wrong. Time and time again, you hide your hopes and dreams so high that you feel like you were lost and in the dark. And when the clouds came, they covered your eyes, and you feel that all hope is gone. Yeah. Whatever you have in your heart, Jesus will see you through. If only you make him your own, he will brighten up your way. Have in your heart, Jesus will see you through. If only you will make him your own, he will brighten up your way. Oh, he will, yeah. When the clouds came and they cover your eyes, and you feel Woo! Come on. Jesus will see you through. If only you will make him your own, he will brighten up your way. Whatever you have in your heart, Jesus will see you through it. If only you will make him your own, he will brighten up your way. Woo! Jesus will see you through it. If only you will make him your own, he will brighten up your way. Yeah. Jesus will see you through it. If only you will make him your own, he will brighten up your way. Yeah. Sometimes it seems like nothing is going your way.
you so much. God bless you.
Thank you to the three of you. That was truly inspirational. Now we've heard from the guys, let's move on to the ladies. We will now hear from Muriel Biokun Betts and Yamide Thomas. Over to you, ladies.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks, Charlotte, for putting pen to paper and writing about your experiences and encounters with racism, microaggression, and unconscious bias. I'm sure this will be cathartic to many people in the Black and minority ethnic category. My favorite poem was "That's Why He Always Wore a Suit." This reminded me of a Caribbean friend and colleague of Douglas's. I always wondered why I would bump into him in a suit every time, even on Saturdays. I must admit, I was taken aback by your experiences. This is because you are a second-generation immigrant, and I honestly thought Britain had moved on a lot further from the days of no blacks, no Irish, and no dogs. I'm thankful that as a first-generation immigrant, my experience was a lot more positive. I arrived in the UK in July 1978 with good O-level and not so good A-level qualifications. My mom and myself had the task of fixing me up at a college in Newcastle upon Tyne to improve my grades. I am eternally thankful to my physics and biology teachers at the Newcastle College of Arts and Technology who helped me seal the deal. I then happened to meet Erica Gordonvich, a first-year Jamaican student at Newcastle Dental School, at our dear late Uncle Bart's Cocker's residence. Her dad was Uncle Bart's dental colleague and friend. Uncle Bart was also my dad's good friend and became one of my 3 male mentors. Erica remarked, "I am the only black dental student in the whole of Newcastle Dental School. Please come and join me." Well. Since I had always liked a challenge, this was an offer I could not refuse. I entered Newcastle Dental School in September 1979. Erica graduated at the end of that academic year, and then I became the only black student in the whole of Newcastle Dental School for the next 4 years. My standing joke is that I got so used to seeing non-black faces that I would forget what I looked like and get a shock every time I passed by a mirror. I can honestly say that being the only black student worked to my advantage, as everyone was very nice to me. My main friends were Andrew Reid Nidave, who was Asian and from Mombasa, Kenya, and Rosanna Haman from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. We had a good relationship, and I believe we were the only 3 female overseas students. There were 2 lecturers who did give me a hard time. A male one who mentioned the word superfluous as a comment each time he would mark my exam papers, which I believed was positive and productive criticism. The second was a female. I would get under her skin each time she would tell me off for something or other, and I would give a shy smile, grin or grimace. This would make her even more angry. I was very curious as to why she behaved this way towards me and followed her career. Turned out she was fighting her own demons and in fact was suffering from mental health issues. I started my career as a community dental officer with Sunderland Health Authority in the Washington Tyne and Wear Health Center and was awarded a vocational training certificate in community dentistry after the first year. I was then transferred to Springwell Health Center in Sunderland, where I was a dentist in charge for 4 years. This was a very pleasant experience. There was only one incident when my hi-fi got stolen from my car and I got incensed. When the burglar cheekily returned to the same car park at a later date, I spotted him and ran out of the building and chased him up the street. Needless to say, I did not catch him, and I got told off by my boss for putting myself in danger. I moved into general practice in Leicester in January 1989 and joined Multi-Smile Design Centre. Overall, this has been a positive and successful experience. 32 years later, I find myself still at this practice, which has become my comfort zone. I semi-retired in December 2020 and now do half-time there. I also do an alternative Tuesday session 2 to 7 at JDRM Dental Care, another dental practice in Leicester, which I find stimulating. I feel like I have finally achieved my ideal work-life balance, and I'm thankful to God Almighty for bringing me to this point in my life's journey. Personally, I am a Christian Methodist and believe in the good in everyone. However, there is good and evil, nice and not so nice people, for whatever reason, across the color spectrum. Ultimately, good triumphs over evil. This goes to show that not everyone has negative experiences, and even the negative ones can be turned into positive ones by the power of the Holy Spirit. Thanks for listening to my story. Charlotte, I wish you the very best with promoting your book, Black in White, and good luck with your research for your new book. Life is a wonderful journey. Continue to enjoy the ride. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Now, if you don't know whose side they go, know whose side you come out. I nailed that. That's a proverb from the Creole people in Sierra Leone, which in English translates as, if you don't know where you are going, at least know where you're coming from. It has a prominent place on the walls of a new exhibition called The Creoles of Sierra Leone at the Museum of London. It tells the story of their unique link to the UK. Lisa Marie Neschak went to take a look.
Historical documents, religious books, paintings and clothing, these are some of the items on display to help tell the Creoles' history from past to present. The Creoles are descendants of freed African American, West Indian and liberated African slaves who arrived in Sierra Leone between the late 18th and 19th century. Many enslaved Africans fought on the side of the British during the American Civil War with the promise of freedom. After the war ended, hundreds travelled to London to live.
1787, people started to notice a lot more black people in London, and many of them were destitute because they'd come over after the American War of Independence and they weren't given the charitable support that they expected. A committee was then set up to help them, but they soon realised there were so many that not a lot could be done in London. So this committee decided that these people could be resettled in Sierra Leone.
The first settlement of over 400 people arrived by ship that set sail from the south coast of England to what was hailed as the Province of Freedom in Sierra Leone, which is now the capital named Freetown.
This dress symbolises the thread that weaves together Creole history with England. It's called a caboslot, and it's a combination of a 19th century Victorian dress with adaptations from freed African slaves, Jamaican Maroons, and Nova Scotians who settled in Sierra Leone.
Iyamide Thomas is a historical researcher who donated some of the artefacts. She pitched the idea of the display to the museum as she believed the connection between the two countries needed more recognition.
This display is really important because the history of the Creoles is really linked to Black British history, and not many people know about it. They were taken to the province of Freedom, but then it stops there. So this tells you, the legacy of slavery, really.
Over 80% of Sierra Leoneans speak the Creole language in the country, but only 2% of the population are of Creole heritage. The exhibits will be on display for a year with the aim to attract as many people as possible to help learn more about the origins of the first resettled freed Africans who became the Creoles. Lisa Marie Mushtaq, BBC News.
That looks brilliant, and you can see more pictures from the gallery on our website. Just go to bbc.com/Africa.
Thanks. Okay, Debbie wanted me to say kusha everybody. I'm sure you don't have, there's some non-Sierra Leoneans here. Good evening to all. And as you saw me on the video, I was asked to just give a little 2 or 3 minute talk about what's happening in with the exhibition and how it came about. My day job, by the way, I wore my Creole print. I haven't got the head tie, but at least I came halfway there. We have an event tomorrow and I'll wear the full works. If any of you, I don't know if any of you are booked for that. We have an event tomorrow called Meet the Creoles, an online celebration, but that's sold out. Right, I am from Sierra Leone, Creole, my ethnic group, and I wanted to show how unique the link between the history of the Creoles is to British history. For those that don't know, the Creoles were previously enslaved people who were returned to the province of Freetown, which is Freetown, Sierra Leone, after abolition. And they're made up of a cultural mix that included African Americans. It included a lot of Yorubas. The majority were from Yoruba land. It also included some Jamaicans, the Maroons, and some people called the Black Poor. So they formed that cultural mix, and our tradition actually comes from that, the melting pot of, that mix of people all thrown into Freetown and told to get on. And in most cases, they did get on. Our culture is very Yoruba influenced, and my name is Iyamide. That's, I'm sure there are lots of Sierra Leoneans on here. I don't know whether Charlotte has an African. Ola, oh God, I forget. Ola, in fact, I have to compute that you're called Charlotte. Ola. And your sister Yamide, who's my friend as well. I haven't seen her, but that's another story. Yeah, so yes, we all have Yoruba or Ghanaian names mostly. And the exhibition it's a temporary exhibition. It should have ended after a year. It came on in September 2019, but because of the year we've had, it's been opening and closing, and it reopens again in next week, May the 19th, and it does its last run on July the 4th. So please, if you live in London and you want to go, it's part of a wider gallery called the London Sugar and Slavery Gallery. And the story of the Creoles continues that story that's told in that gallery. So you start off, looking at the history and everything in the gallery, and then you progress to the Creoles of Sierra Leone, which is on the back wall. And one of the reasons why I also did it wasn't so much just to tell the history of the Creoles and their culture, but to also raise awareness of that we're people who are resilient. We've suffered this heinous crime of descending from slavery, which was very heinous, as you all know. But we are the survivors. I always say that it should be looked in that aspect as well. We have a wall at the back which is called Notable Creoles, where we've featured 10 notable Creoles, and that is saying people like Bishop Ajayi Crowther, who became the first African bishop. He was actually enslaved, so he rose from being on a slave ship he resettled in Sierra Leone and became the first African bishop. We have people like Dr. Africanus Horton, who's renowned he was a medic in the British Army. He first wrote about sickle cell. That's my day job, by the way. And his parents were Igbo captives who had been on slave ships when the British Navy rescued them and sent them back to Sierra Leone. So that's the story as well, because people often ask, if your history and your culture has come out of slavery, why do you want to promote it? Or why are you proud of it? I mean, everybody has to be proud of their ethnic, their culture. Otherwise, what do you have to belong to? We know where we belong to. And for the younger people, please, slavery was there. We know it was bad. There's still a legacy, a really bad legacy. But then when you look at the exhibition, you see all these people who, despite slavery, were able to come out of it and become pioneers. And that's the message I want the young people to take. I think I've done 3 minutes.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Yamide. That was excellent. Thank you. Okay.
So please go. Yeah, that's the word is please go to the exhibition. And if you're on Facebook, go to thecreoles.com, .com. Join the Facebook page. We're always putting interesting things there on the Facebook page. Yeah.
Thank you, Muriel and Yamide. Now, we will be listening to 2 of Charlotte's poems from her book, Black in White. The first will be read by Abe. The second will be read by Diane Lowther. Then we will hear from Charlotte herself, who will be telling us what her next plans are for her next book. How exciting!
Your beautiful African name. Your name of Bimbola, a Yoruba name that means born to be wealthy. A blessing your grandmother bestowed on you. Your beautiful African name. At home it was shortened to Bimbo. Say the Nigerian way and the letter O sounds like O. But at primary school you were teased mercilessly. When the other children deconstructed your name, you're a bimbo, a bimbo. Kids can be so cruel. We laughed it off, but it must have hurt. Your beautiful African name, meant to be prophetic, through ridicule was made pathetic instead. In secondary school, you shortened your name to Bim. Easier to pronounce, it stopped the teasing. Fair enough, if Bim helped you to be accepted. Some will disagree, but none should judge. Throughout the centuries, whether by force or by choice, many migrants have changed their names to fit in. Like my teacher's grandpa, who swapped Petrushka for Peters, forever removing his Russian Jewish roots from public view. My roots are African, but my first name is English. My African surname passes for English too. So not for me the angst of to change or not to change, or the spectre of overt or unconscious name discrimination. A name like mine might sound advantageous. It may have opened corporate doors for me. But lest we forget, behind my anglicized name is a dark heritage of African ancestry interrupted until liberty came. In your career, you've scaled the heights. Being called Bim probably changed the opportunities, but it didn't change you or foil the prophetic power of your beautiful African name.
The man who gave Black Londoners a voice. Today, British radio is a cultural blend. Alex Pascal started the trend. Seeing that radio was all white, he made a change, made things right. It was 74 when he broke through. The Beeb had doubts how he would do. Thought few would listen, few would care. One show a month was all they'd air. When it launched, it was music to our ears. He proved the suits wrong, and within 4 years, Black Londoners was given a daily slot. Loved by listeners, it meant a lot. Pascal brought black issues to the fore, calm intentions, turmoil and more. Questioning wrongs, winning the day, his pioneering show helped pave the way. Though underfunded, Pascal did his bit. For 14 years, the show was a hit. Had guests like Marley and the Jackson 5, yet his bosses did not support his drive. Racism meant he was underpaid, and 40 years after the show he made, they refused him a pension, treat him like dirt, exploited him then, continue to hurt. Such injustice is wrong, he should be fated, his significant legacy should be rated. He should be esteemed for what he did, so the time is right to lift the lid. The first black show wasn't his only feat, he helped The Voice find its feet, helped Notting Hill Carnival achieve its goal. History will tell of Pascal's role. He was instrumental in a children's show. Teletubbies were huge, as we know. Reaching millions, he was truly slick, singing, writing, making music. Known also for community work, Pascal has built a strong network. Above all, he's a family man. We're forever grateful he's in our clan.
Earlier, you mentioned that you plan to publish another black in white book. I think I recall that it was going to be during Black History Month this year. Tell us more about that.
So the plan is to publish a second black and white book based on entries received from black and white poetry competition that I will be launching soon. We're putting together a small judging panel and will invite people to submit poems about some of their experiences. We've all had experiences of racism, unconscious bias, prejudice, microaggressions at work and in our daily lives, and we need to talk about these experiences. It'll be cathartic, as I can attest to, but it will also be educative and eye-opening.
When will the competition be launched, and how can people submit their entries?
The competition will be launched next month, i.e. in June. We will push it out via the Black and White website and our social media channels, as well as via other social media channels, groups, forums, and so on, to poetry groups and various other organizations. Basically, we'll get it out as broadly as we can. People will be able to submit their entries by email to an email address that we will provide in due course. The deadline will be in late July for submission. It's all still being mapped out, and more details will follow in due course.
So who will be judging the poems, and will you be offering prizes to the winners?
I will be approaching a few individuals who are active in the field of poetry and or education around black issues to invite them to join the judging panel. We will not be judging people's experiences, of course, because every experience is important and valid in its own right, but we'll be judging the entries poetically. It's difficult to know how many entries we'll get, but I encourage people who may have never written a poem before or haven't done so for a long time to have a go. You never know what secret talent you might be harboring, and at the very least, the experience of writing it down will be cathartic. We will also be offering cash prizes, although the magnitude of these is yet to be determined, and we'll be seeking sponsorship from companies to make this happen.
When will the Black in White Competition Winners Collective be available? I'm quite excited to read that.
The aim is to launch the book towards the end of Black History Month, which is in October. So once we have received the entries in July, the judging will take place in the first half of August, and then we will announce the winners in early September. The book will be available about 6 weeks after that, so it's quite a speedy turnaround, but we will have done some of the foundational work beforehand, so that we will in effect just be adding in the poems into slots that have already been established within the framework. I'm very excited about this, and I think the resulting book will be a powerful collection of poems that, as I've said before, will provide incredible insight and illumination to some of the issues that many Black people face in their everyday lives in the UK. Thank you to everyone who is attending the launch of Black in White this evening. As a token of appreciation, I would like to offer my book to you at a specially discounted price of £6.99 plus postage and packaging. That's £3 off the recommended retail price and about £5 off the price that some of the online retailers are selling the book for. To take advantage of the offer, simply log on to www.blackandwhiteservices.co.uk and put in a discount code, which is B1W1, and the discount will be applied to the items in your basket when you check out. Thank you, and I hope you find my poems interesting, insightful, and illuminating.
If you're passionate about helping shed light on issues surrounding racism, Black in White is a must-read. Black in White is a powerful new book written by Charlotte Shyllon. It includes poems such as Meet the New Girl, Behind My Mask, The Cleaner, The Security Guard and Me, and If I Were White. It describes some of Charlotte's experiences of racism and unconscious bias while working in the corporate world over 25 years. It includes striking images as well as definitions of terms such as diversity, inclusion, BAME, and white privilege. Available from major online retailers in paperback and Kindle formats, the recommended retail price for Black in White is $9.99, and signed copies can be ordered from www.blackandwhiteservices.co.uk. These poems can serve as conversation starters to ensure important issues about race are aired. Don't delay, get Black in White today.